Every once in a while, we'll get a Lonely Island movie. We usually have to wait maybe 5 to 6 years. At least that's the last time like Popstar came out. If you want to count Palm Springs, and we had to wait 2 years, which actually that's not super long ago. Well, this time the comedy team is working with Disney, which is something I would have never guessed to happen. And to top that, it's a Chip and Dale movie. And to top that, we got John Mulaney as Chip and Andy Samberg as Dale, because of course, why not? That's what the fans wanted. This movie is set in a world where we are living with cartoons similar to Roger Rabbit or Looney Tunes Back in Action. It takes place 30 years after the Chip and Dale Rescue Ranger show. Both of them are living different lives. Dale got his CGI surgery, which is something cartoons can do now in this world. He's living off of his 15 minutes of fame from the success of the show. He shows up at Comic-Cons type of things. He has his little booth. He'll sign pictures and whatnot. While Chip has moved on from Hollywood and is living not so adventurous, maybe not so glamorous life. Their old friend and cast member Monetary Jack goes missing, so Chip and Dale must reunite after 30 years and find their friend. The setting and the story is an interesting premise. Obviously, there are influences from Who Framed Roger Rabbit and parts of Looney Tunes Back in Action, so that plus the team working behind this movie had me more curious than thinking it was probably going to be a good movie. And I'm glad to say this movie does not suck. The writers Dan Gregor and Doug Mann, along with Schaffer as the director of the movie, they don't shy away from making fun of Disney and corporate media. There are some jokes about what it's like working in Hollywood today. There's a character's motivation that's inspired by Hollywood history, and the movie pokes a little bit of fun at IP and everything like that as well. And since we're in this hybrid world of cartoons and real people, and I guess CGI characters now, that means we're gonna get a lot of Easter eggs. And there are so many Easter eggs in this movie, to the point where that's actually what a lot of the jokes are in this movie. There are plenty of blink and you miss it type of jokes. It's impressive to see what is in this movie. It's not so much like the recent Space Jam movie where it's just a bunch of characters in the background and they're all owned by Warner Brothers. No, there are definitely non-Disney owned characters. A lot of them are used as jokes to point at how Hollywood is just reusing ideas and IP and they just kind of mesh them together. Or some characters no longer work in the entertainment industry and they're doing something else. It doesn't really feel overwhelming, but that's what a good chunk of the jokes are in this movie. It's a lot of, hey, look at this. Hey, look at that. There are still a decent amount of original characters in the movie as well. Sometimes they're used as visual gags. Sometimes they have their little one-liner moments and then help get Chip and Dale to the next place, next location, just to move the scene along. Now that we have not just 2D cartoons, animated movies and shows, but 3D as well, the amount of cartoons in this movie is pretty diverse. For the most part, they are all animated slightly differently. J.K. Simmons plays a police captain that is sort of like Gumby. He's like a claymation figure. So to show his type of animation style, they lowered the frame rate to make it seem like he is moving like in a stop motion movie. Seth Rogen plays a poorly CGI'd character, kind of like something you'd see from Polar Express or from Beowulf. There's even a Muppet character that shows up, but it's a real Muppet, it's not CGI or anything. So there's a diverse amount of different animations, and they do a decent job on making jokes about how their animation looks and how it works, stuff like that. My biggest gripe though is the animation for these 2D characters. It's not 2D animation, it's 3D. They're animated in 3D, they move like 3D characters. It's clearly CGI. It seems like they just put a 2D texture on top of them. Now there are some that show up in the background and stuff that feel like maybe flash animation or reused animation from previous works, but characters kind of like Chip just look rough in my opinion. I don't play Fortnite, but it's kind of like Morty in some of the Fortnite trailers. It tries to look like a 2D character, but it's obviously a 3D model. It just looks kind of weird. It's kind of almost hypocritical because they make jokes about poorly CGI characters in this movie, but there are a decent amount of characters like that, and in my opinion would fit in that category. Every time I feel like I got used to the 3D animation for these characters, they would do something that looked really weird and ugly, and then it would pull me right out. I wish these characters were involved with more practical objects. I don't even know if they are involved with practical objects at all in this movie. It all might be CGI. When you look at the Roger Rabbit movie, you see Roger Rabbit pick up real items. Obviously, it's special effects and stuff, and it's, wiring, things like that. There's nothing like that in this movie. It would have added more creativity to the effects, in my opinion, and it also probably would have helped make these characters feel a little bit more real in this world. The story itself isn't entirely original. There are plenty of elements from a detective story that you've seen before. Well, that's most likely been used in here as well. Now, I am not gonna lie, there was one part that I actually was not expecting to happen, so the movie actually did fool me. I don't know if I'm the only guy that felt for it. I wish the movie had a little bit more emotional weight to it as well. It has its moments, but this is a movie about two has-beens that realize they need each other. And the scenes that use these dramatic moments almost feel a little forced to me. At one point, it feels like there was like a second thought that the writers forgot to put in, because it happens at the very end, and they're like, oh, actually, we need to put this in. It doesn't seem like it's fully realized. I would have probably put maybe just one scene or something like that in the middle of the movie, or at least the beginning of the third act. Just a little something to make the story a little bit more dynamic. The story is overall fast-paced, but it never takes a moment to breathe and let some of the scenes or dramatic moments or even jokes to sink in. As far as performances go, I wouldn't say there are really any huge standouts. J.K. Simmons is probably the best in my opinion. Andy Samberg fits with this type of goofy humor for the most part. Some of Mulaney's voice work feels phoned in. I wish he was hamming it up a little bit, kind of like his voice work as Spider-Ham in Spider-Verse. And even though these two are doing a decent job voicing Chip and Dale, it just feels really out of place. And I think that might be part of the joke. Obviously, they won't do impressions or anything, but I don't know. It's weird, but it's also kind of funny in its own way. Seth Rogen is fine in this movie. Like a bunch of other characters in this movie, he's really not given a lot. He plays more so a henchman type of role, which is not what I was expecting the story to go with. But yeah, he just kind of shows up and he's there. He does his Seth Rogen laugh, which I laughed at too. It's so dumb. Kiki Layne is in this movie, which is someone I would have never guessed to be in a movie like this. But yeah, they don't really give her a whole lot, so she's not able to do a lot. And she's also the only human character that is a part of this plot. So on set, she's really talking to nobody. I'm sure there was somebody that would read the lines of other characters for her. Even if you're not a fan of Popstar or Hot Rod, I would still probably recommend this movie. Their goofy brand of humor might be distracting for some people, but I do believe the humor and the story overall is entertaining enough for kids and adults to join along for the ride. It is a kids movie, but I do think people around my age would enjoy this a little bit more just because there are plenty of references that I just don't think kids under the age of 15 would get. The cartoon world feels diverse with its animation and amount of characters. There might be too many Easter eggs, but about 99% of those references are used as jokes. And I think for the most part, they're all used at least in a fun way. The animation for the 2D characters is pretty questionable though, and it took me out of the movie a couple of times. Most of the performances are solid. There isn't really anybody other than maybe Mulaney that I think are really half-assing it. I think the premise is pretty fun too. There's a bit of creativity and original stuff going on, even though the overall detective premise is pretty predictable. I would say this is probably a rewatchable movie, but the rewatchable part is mainly for catching other references that you might have missed. And honestly, you can go on social media and find that. I'm sure there's a YouTube video out right now that has like all of the Easter eggs in there. I might have seemed a little too picky for this movie, but I still enjoyed it. It's still fun. I'm definitely glad it didn't suck. Right now, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching this. Have you seen Chippendale Rescue Rangers, the movie? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. If you like this, please subscribe, share, comment, like, do whatever you want. Again, thank you so much for watching this if you made it this far. Make sure you exercise every day, drink your milk, and have a great day.